The skies over Southern California are some of the busiest in the nation. Each day, thousands of planes, commercial, private, and military, navigate this airspace, but always with the help of air traffic controllers, whose job is to keep traffic moving safely and efficiently. Some people, though, are concerned about the state of our nation's air traffic control system.
Southwest 1042, taxi 2, runway 26 right, here, November 1, Whiskey.
Scanning the skies and the runway from inside the tower, the controllers must always be steadfast in their vigilance. They clear flights for departure. They monitor the separation of multiple aircraft in the air and bring flights onto the runway safely. Their work behind the large pane glass windows requires constant attention to detail. Sometimes, their quick action keeps passengers and crew out of harm's way. Such was the case recently in Ontario, California, when a Southwest Airlines pilot spotted a small plane coming in for a landing with its wheels up.
Hey, ground, that plane that flew, I didn't have his gear down.
Carlos Rodriguez is the air traffic controller at Ontario who got the call from the Southwest pilot. He yelled over to controller Bruce Bradigan, who then radioed the Cessna pilot.
04 Yankee, check your gear. Oh, that's a good call. Thank you. I'm going to go around.
The Cessna 210 Centurion was no more than 30 feet from the runway. After the warning from the tower, the veteran pilot throttled up, circled the airport, and landed safely, with his wheels down.
If I had accidentally touched down, the airplane would have been badly damaged. I can't say enough about the guys in the tower.
Days after the Ontario incident, the FAA held a news conference.
Thank God that Southwest saw 04 Yankees gears up, because without him, probably would have been an accident and you would have been here for another reason.
The amount of damage that could have been done and what could have happened, in realizing that we averted it, makes me feel very good.
Nearly all controllers are employed by the FAA. At the press conference, the FAA and the air traffic controllers stood together, talking about the incident. But there is a larger issue where the two stand wide apart: the ongoing dispute between the union representing the controllers and the FAA. In the summer of 2008, the National Air Traffic Controllers Association rejected the final contract offer. At issue are pay and work rules and the recruitment of thousands of new hires.
It's no secret that there's a labor dispute between the FAA and the Controllers Union. They did not like the contract proposal we made. They did not sign the contract. When we implemented a new contract in September 2006, we did lower the pay scale for new hires because the system simply couldn't bear the 10% annual raises that the controllers were getting on average between 1998 and 2005.
In Ontario, Controller Carlos Rodriguez has only been on the job about a year. He's one of thousands of new hires who are starting to work at control towers across the country. In fact, the FAA needs to hire thousands more. If you're wondering why the FAA needs to recruit so many air traffic controllers over the next few years, the answer goes back over 20 years. In 1981, 13,000 members of PATCO, the Professional Air Traffic Controllers Organization, went on strike after turning down the FAA's final contract offer. President Reagan called the walkout illegal and fired the controllers who didn't return to their jobs. 900 controllers reported back to work. More than 11,000 were out of a job. Many of the replacements were hired within a couple of years, and most were in their late 20s and early 30s. That meant they were going to reach retirement age around the same time.
At the present time, we really do need more controllers, because the bubble of those people who were hired immediately after the strike in 1981, that bubble is reaching an end. So we really do need more controllers, and we need them at particular facilities.
The FAA predicts that between 2008 and 2017, it will lose more than 15,000 controllers to retirement. In response, the agency plans to recruit more than 17,000 new controllers by launching an aggressive hiring campaign. It includes ads on the internet, on sites like YouTube, Monster, and Craigslist. The majority of the candidates being interviewed are in their mid-20s and younger. Some are just teenagers, just out of high school.
Right now we have about 11,000 people nationwide, qualified people, in the pipeline to become air traffic controllers.
The Controllers Union is concerned about the age of the new hires and the level of salaries being offered. NATCA officials say some of the new hires are being given too much responsibility. They lack hands-on experience.
The bar has been lowered extremely, and you also have to understand that when they cut the pay of new hires coming into this profession by 30%. Are you really going to get the most qualified people, the most talented people into this profession?
You know, we do have a very rigorous screening process. Anybody who applies to be an air traffic controller goes through an aptitude test. There's a background check, there's medical requirements, and if people pass that, then they go to the training academy in Oklahoma City.
Upon completing a 12-week training program at the FAA Academy in Oklahoma City, new hires such as Carlos Rodriguez in Ontario are sent to airports around the country as developmental controllers.
When you come into the profession, you're a developmental, you're a trainee, and it takes sometimes 5 years for you to become a seasoned veteran.
Nice time on my 16 right, cliff takeoff.
The job and the training are extremely difficult. It is a hard job, the training is hard, and not only is the training accomplished at Oklahoma City at the Academy, but training continues on for up to 3 or 4 years at the air traffic facility.
When the certified instructor believes the controller under his care is ready, the supervisor steps in and monitors the trainee. If the trainee performs at the level required, then that person becomes certified.
And during the process, we actually have quite an attrition rate, especially now that they're trying this experiment of taking folks off the street and putting them at the busy facilities, because before it was somewhat like with baseball, where you start off in the minor leagues, you prove yourself, and then you move up to the major leagues. These folks don't have an opportunity to prove themselves in the minors.
The way it was traditionally done in the past really made a lot of sense. The idea is that each different facility provides you with a different perspective on the overall demands of the job.
Over the past couple of years, there's been a series of near misses by passenger jets, according to an article in the Wall Street Journal. The journal details an increase in collision hazards at our nation's airports, and to blame, the air traffic controllers in the towers. A spokesperson with the FAA told the journal that the number of controller errors nationwide rose from 289 in 2007 to 357 in fiscal 2008. One of the worst regions is Southern California. At San Diego's Lindbergh Field, a controller mistake led to a near miss between a Southwest plane and an Alaska Airlines jet in early November 2008. Another near miss occurred at John Wayne Airport in March 2008. An American Airlines 757 flying in from Mexico was mistakenly put on a collision course with a Southwest 737 about to take off. Once again, a controller error. Despite these close calls, experts say our skies are safe.
Commercial aviation is very, very safe. You get approximately 0.05 fatal accidents per million flights, which means that if you were to take a flight every day, it would take you 274,000 years to be involved in a fatal accident. So that's really good.
Former FAA controller Thomas Anthony runs an aviation safety and security program for the University of Southern California's Viterbi School of Engineering. Students in the program have been designing next-generation computer systems that may one day help pilots and controllers with runway problems.
We have pretty much reached a plateau of the controller-centric air traffic system. We need an air traffic control system that gives the tasks to a computer, automates those processes that the computer can do best, and then gives those tasks to the controller that the human can do best.
The FAA says new technologies will greatly reduce the accident rate in the near future. Another system now being installed is the Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, which uses global satellite positioning, or GPS.
The system gives pilots situational awareness of where they are at all times rather than depending on air traffic controllers to tell them their position. In Alaska, when we tested the system, we saw about a 40% drop in the accident rate.
The challenges faced by the FAA in staffing and the need to train controllers in next-generation technologies at our nation's control towers were brought before our congressional subcommittee hearing in the summer of 2008. A list of recommendations was presented during the hearing, and at the top of the list, this request, that the FAA and the union return to the bargaining table to reach a mutually acceptable contract.
Whether the working conditions aren't the greatest, whether the pay is not the greatest, whether you're not necessarily being treated with respect by your employer, when it comes time for you to clock in, You're going to be the consummate professional. You're going to provide the best possible service.
I am confident that the controllers are professional first and will look after their operational responsibilities without view to whatever bargaining unit issues are pending.
The current air traffic control system has been described as a throwback to World War II. The outdated network is apparently costing U.S. airlines billions of dollars in wasted fuel. Replacing the system with state-of-the-art GPS technology would not only save money, but would triple air traffic capacity. But the government doesn't expect this new system to be ready until the early 2020s. In the meantime, we depend on the vigilance of the men and women now being trained to watch over our skies.
Southwest 2465, runway 25 right.
2425 right, Southwest 2465.